You are the answer to somebody's prayer. And I just keep hearing thank you. Like, thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, source. And this feeling of gratitude is very overwhelming for this person at this time. They feel very grateful to have connected with you. It feels like this is a newer connection. There's a sense of almost like thank you for you being available, you being receptive to them, the stars aligning so that the two of you could connect with one another. It feels like this is something that this person is trying to move very cautiously at this time in this situation. There's a sense that they don't want to mess this up. They don't want to move too quickly. They want to preserve and protect what the two of you have with one another so far, because they really like you. They really see a lot of long-term potential here, but this is somebody that maybe has been very unlucky in love their whole life, or it's been a while since they've connected with another person as deeply as they're connecting with you. And so there's a sense of like, I don't want to dump all this baggage onto you. I don't want to come across as very like desperate or needy or clingy. It's like this person is trying to almost sort of make sure that they subdue that kind of shadowy aspect within, that they don't cling too much to this, that they don't pour too much intensity in at this particular moment in time. There's a sense that they want to like savor this experience with you right now, but this isn't somebody that wants to like draw this out indefinitely. They may have come to a certain realization, something has shifted within them emotionally, where again they've come to this recognition of like, you're everything that I had hoped for, you're everything that I dreamed of, you're everything that I prayed for, and I want to make sure that I'm a good caretaker of what can happen between the two of us moving forward. So this is something that's going to be a slow simmer. This is not going to be an energy that resonates with people that are like, I want something fast, I want something now, I want somebody, that looks at me and is like, yes, and just charges forward. This is an energy of somebody who's like, I'm looking for quality rather than sifting through quantity until, something kind of sparks that sort of big fireworks moment and I'm rushing forward towards it. It feels like this person maybe embodied that energy at an earlier chapter of their life, and they learned the hard way what approaching romance at that speed or with that kind of lens, what that leads to. This is somebody who has sustained a lot of kind of loss as far as love is concerned. They've invested with the wrong person on more than one occasion, so they are very cautious at this point. This is somebody that'll be worth the wait. They're not going to leave you waiting. They're not going to leave you hanging. This is also not the energy of somebody that, is going to go hot and cold on you. It's just somebody that is going to show up consistently in a measured way, and you're gonna know kind of like several steps ahead, a little bit further down the road from connecting with this person, like, okay, they've been consistent with me, but it may be something that really throws you for a loop because it's different from the pace that you're used to with people that just sort of like rush forward or they're in and out. This is somebody, it feels like, that brings a very deliberate energy. It feels like this person is your calm within the storm, and they're very grateful to have this like opportunity with you in the here and now. And they're looking at this situation, or they're looking at you with kind of these eyes of adoration, where they see and recognize that you're somebody who has likely never really been loved right, never really been appreciated in love before in the way that they're kind of feeling like, I would be good at this. I feel that I could bring something to the table that would be good for the two of us. Something that is like a slow and steady wins the race kind of energy here. And again, they're sitting in a very almost like a prayerful state, a state of gratitude at this moment in time. Like, thank you for this opportunity to connect with this individual, to see what happens, to present myself as I am, wounds and all, and to see, is this the circumstance where there will be space for all of me to show up, and where I will have the opportunity to show this other person, to show you the viewer, like I'm here in a more all-encompassing sense than other romantic prospects, other suitors you may have had before, that were very fast moving, that were very just kind of like intense and got to know quickly and, on to the next thing if it doesn't feel right. Like this person wants to take time to sort of move beyond impulsivity into a place of like, I want to steady myself for you in this situation. I want you to steady yourself. They acknowledge on some level that they are coming in with a degree of woundedness. They are, naturally kind of assuming you are coming in with a degree of woundedness. That just happens in our human experiences. We love and we lose and we open our hearts to love again. So, this may be something where it's not that sort of like far-fetched about, okay, you probably have had circumstances that were heartbreaking. So I'm going to be mindful of that, though, those kind of like, wounds or those sort of guardedness about you, because I know I've got that within myself. So this is somebody that feels like is very conscientious. They may be a very introspective person, or they've just come through almost like becoming comfortable, not just within a cycle of their life, but maybe something that involves like a modality, a practice, something that could even be a mindset or a way of life where they're trying to move more conscientiously through their life. This is someone that might have been in sort of like a clumsy or a chaotic energy before, like in a previous era of their existence, but at this point in time they're bringing mindfulness to the table. And so for some of you this may even be a very kind of startling experience, because you've never encountered a partner that was very conscious, that was very mindful, that was very self-aware. You might have been dealing with people that were highly based in like a wounded, closed off ego, calcified pineal gland, all of that. This is somebody, it feels like, that embodied that at one point in time, but this is a version of themselves that has almost like taken charge of their own healing or taken charge of their own life, or is attempting to do that in some sort of way. So they bring a little bit of a different formula to the table from what you may have been used to with previous lovers or previous relationships. It feels like the kind of circumstance where there's a lot of healing that is possible for the two of you, the ability for this person to kind of show you a different way that people can show up romantically than what you've experienced before. And this will enable you to kind of bring some things to the table, bring some things to the equation that may be less conscious or less evolved people that you dealt with previously, like karmic people, or just people that you'd met in like different phases of your life prior to now, that you now have an ability to kind of be received, to be seen, to be appreciated, to be respected, to be admired, and to be loved for more of those kind of like internal qualities, as opposed to just sort of like what's on the surface, what's the immediate benefit, what can I get out of this circumstance now. This is somebody that brings forth the ability of kind of like good things are worth the wait. The slow and steady approach often kind of, yields more satisfying results in a long-term sense. And so it feels like this is somebody that isn't necessarily a cautious lover. They're very deliberate, though, with how they're wanting to move towards you, how they're wanting to progress this situation. For some of you, this is somebody that's like getting ready to approach you for the first time. For others of you, this is somebody that you're already interacting with, you're already dealing with, that they're wanting to kind of expand your experience with one another, but in a way that is kind of dealing with sort of consistency over time. And for a very small percentage of you, this may be somebody from the past who has kind of gone through an awakening. They've become more self-aware, and so they're bringing something forth to you by way of reconciliation that it feels like would demonstrate that kind of like that evolution within themselves, where it's like the same person, but they're showing up in a different kind of an energy. But that feels like that's just for a very small percentage of you. For the vast majority of you that are resonating with this so far, this is kind of the energy of somebody that it's a different kind of person you've encountered so far along your path, or amongst your options or potential suitors. This person would really stand out as maybe the person that is more, kind of slow to approach. They're quieter, they're more introspective, they're more observant, as opposed to very kind of like loud or showy lovers. People that are really trying to like get your attention, really trying to like, put their name in the hat or put themselves out there, or, they're leading with a lot of kind of machismo or ego. This is somebody that's coming in more like, almost like a gentle breeze is what's coming through. So the outdoors may be very significant. This person could be an air sign. They could have a lot of air in their chart, or this is just something that this is a person who is just like mindful in general. They may have certain, practices like spiritual practices, meditative practices, personal practices that deal with mindfulness. So you'd be able to like identify them by those things. And maybe that's something that you both connect with. You both resonate on that level with one another. But the first thing that we have is throat chakra. So it feels like this person is, again, and I'm hearing long-winded. So it feels like this may be something where it's like they're trying to sort of plan out a long-winded speech that would be kind of like a declaration of affection, romantic intention, but instead of just kind of like, talking your ear off and sort of feeding in a lot of words, or filling in a space of silence, with promises, or, just kind of noise. This is somebody that is almost wanting to sort of, that long-winded energy is like, I want to take a long approach. I'm thinking of the long game in this situation. I'm not just trying to get like immediate results between the two of us. I like what we have so far. Or if this is someone that's getting ready to approach, it's almost like they're trying to come forward towards you with the anticipation of sort of like catching your attention, but being prepared to sort of show up consistently so that it helps to kind of open your heart to the idea of them, or to see what develops very organically between the two of you, without that kind of pressure to perform, without that pressure to act, to see like, do we really connect with one another beyond that initial spark, beyond that chemistry, beyond that like physical attraction to one another? Is there something here that this has the ability to kind of like, we experience, the evolution of the connection, or the rewards beyond, just taking the time to get to know another person, or, hanging out platonically, or just taking things slowly romantically? Is this something that suits some sort of need or desire that has not been satisfied before, or that could serve to like heal woundedness within? It feels like this person is really craving that, something that is just kind of like a safe space as far as romance and love is concerned. This person may be really exhausted with the dating game, exhausted with the games that people play. And I'm hearing, is there anybody real? So it feels like this is somebody who's just like, they've dealt with a lot of people that have been posturing, that have been like putting on a front, operating out of ego. This is somebody who wants something real. And so the realness that they are bringing into the equation with you is that long-winded speech kind of energy of like, I'm not trying to, score points in this situation just sort of like right out of the gate, and have you get all kind of star-eyed about me and all gooey in my presence like right away. I would like that to happen, but I feel that is something that is best accomplished, or accomplished in a way that doesn't prove to be a waste of either of our time, if we just take things slow, if we don't try to like rush things, if we just sort of savor the moment or savor the experience. We also have listen to your intuitive feelings. So this person may be a really good listener. They're going to ask very thought-provoking questions of you. They're going to take an interest in you. This is not someone that's just going to sit there and tell you all about themselves. It's like, this may be very refreshing. It's like somebody to actually have a conversation with, as opposed to something that is just sort of a show, just sort of a performance, or maybe you've dealt with people that just sort of, they took up all the energy, they took up all the attention. You couldn't get a word in edgewise. They were just very like chatty people, or, just didn't have good conversation skills. This person's the exact opposite of that. They know how to have a conversation. They know how to agree to disagree. They know how to, ask relevant questions and to actually listen to what another person has to say. And so it feels like this is something that, again, kind of talks about, maybe something that could be sort of a longer talking stage. Again, it feels like it'll be worth the wait, in order to create a level of like certainty between you and this individual that, yeah, progressing things forward into something more intimate or into the physical, that this is like safe, emotionally safe for the two of us, that it's not just going to be that experience of like, yeah, we've got that physical chemistry, we got that physical connection, everything's great in that sense, but then we don't really have anything in common. We don't really have anything to talk about afterwards. There's no kind of bond or foundation that has been established outside of just that I find you attractive, you find me attractive, let's hook up. This is not someone that's looking for a hookup. I'm hearing date to marry. So it feels like this is somebody that has, kind of closed out that sort of player energy. If they ever, it doesn't even feel like someone that ever really embodied a player energy, but they definitely were in a stage of their life where it's like, I need to just sort of see what's out there. It feels like this person might be somebody that could, be really into like relationships, like monogamous relationships, long-term relationships. And it feels like they might not have much experience kind of like dating a huge variety of people, but this may be somebody who has had like several long-term relationships. They feel most comfortable in that context of like, I just looking for, my person. I'm loyal. I want exclusivity. I don't want a roster. I don't want a whole kind of like stable of people that I'm sifting through. I'm not kind of like looking to juggle multiple people. So it feels like that may also be refreshing if you were dealing with individuals in that player energy, or, things like that, where there were betrayals, or you were made to feel like an option, or you found out that you were just an option, maybe sort of deeper into a connection you thought was more mutual or exclusive. This is somebody that's almost like the remedy for those experiences. This is somebody that will help you to not feel into those wounds as much through what is kind of like a gentle approach, through what is kind of like a slow and steady approach. It allows the two of you to move past kind of those wounds or those hurts or of the past, or even fears about those things happening, or that's kind of like what the dating world is like. That's all you seem to attract or find, or that's all your friends are attracting and finding, and that's generated some level of fear within you, within this person. Both of you have the ability to sort of like listen to that, and through this experience of sort of like, we're delaying that physical gratification with one another, we're prolonging that stage of our connection. We're kind of just like sticking to the more surface level aspects of, I want to get to know you as a person. I want to spend time with you, not just with the intention of like, okay, your place or mine at the end of the date, but something where it's like, we're actually enjoying one another's company. We're actually just kind of like hanging out, or we're talking, or we're getting to know one another. Maybe something where you're holding hands and it's just kind of like the kiss goodnight, or you're like making out for the first couple of months before things evolve beyond that. And so if you're not looking for something like that, this is probably not your reading. If you're looking for something that's a little more fast paced, another reading might be better, or another reader might be better for you. But if this is resonating with you, it feels like you're aligned with calling in someone, or somebody already has their eye on you, that can provide that kind of like slow and steady wins the race energy. Something that can, again, be that sort of remedy or anecdote to people that you were dealing with before that were in like player energy, that Knight of Wands, just fast moving in and out kind of an energy. This is somebody that's like the exact opposite of that. We also have manifestation power. So again, this is somebody that, is wanting to manifest something real. They're looking for stability. They are looking for somebody with long-term potential. They don't mind if it takes like an extensive talking stage in order to come to that conclusion before they open up to kind of, exploring things physically. This is somebody that has learned the hard way what happens when you rush forward. I'm hearing fools rush in. And so it feels like they're feeling very foolish for a previous experience, or like a trend that they were sort of embodying, or they found themselves in, like a pattern they found themselves in previously, of just moving very quickly, having certain experiences where it's like they took it slow, and then all of a sudden they caught feelings, and they kind of just went with those. They let those things run wild and just sort of ran forward. That has led to disappointment, it feels like, on multiple occasions for them. So they're trying a new strategy, they're trying a new approach. They've done some inner work, they've done some healing, they have awakened, they have aligned with kind of a higher awareness of like, nothing changes if nothing changes, and I'm only able to change when I'm experiencing. The only thing I have control over in terms of that change is what I change within myself. That changes the frequency of what I put out, what I'm calling in. I'm looking at the world and experiences with a different lens. And so that is the most guaranteed formula for the potential for success, something other than the disappointment they have experienced before. This may be somebody as well that, we'll talk about like law of attraction, manifestation. They're bringing in spiritual concepts, not just as buzzwords, but things like, yeah, I have utilized this and it has changed my life for the better. So the nature of what this person talks about, things that might be more, intelligent or aware or high level, in addition to kind of like surface level chit chat, it feels like there's going to be topics of focus or things that this person lets you know about that are like important to them, practices that they are involved with that kind of show you this is a different caliber of people or person than just someone looking for a good time, someone looking to fill a space of emptiness or loneliness in their life. This is somebody who values quality over quantity. And so they really are bringing to the table, it feels like, a lot of those kind of quality aspects to be able to match or resonate or be on that vibrational frequency, to call into their reality the equivalent of what they're putting out there. We also have third eye chakra. So there's going to be an intuitive knowing within you that this person is different from other people that you've met, other people you've encountered. It feels like something that's, some of you are going to be triggered, it feels like, by that idea of like, oh, something slow. Well, I was in a, multiple year long talking stage, or the situationship that went nowhere. I'm not wasting my time. Like it feels like it'll be very triggering just to sort of hear these words of somebody that like wants to take it slow. But when you encounter this person, or if it's somebody you're starting to get to know right now as things develop, there's almost an intuitive knowing of like, oh, this is headed in a different direction. This person's bringing a different energy to the table than all those other people that I wasted time on before, all those other experiences that have now given me the opportunity to have the wisdom of what I won't deal with, what I won't put myself through, what I don't want to call into my reality. And so you have effectively succeeded in sort of cracking the code in order to call something different in. This is somebody that will see you eye to eye. They're wanting the same thing as you do. They don't want to waste their time, with kind of like circumstances that go nowhere or things that only end up in lessons. It feels like this person's had enough loss, they've had enough lessons, they've had enough heartbreak. They're geared toward the same things that you are. And so they're very discerning, it feels like, with like where they invest their time. This isn't somebody that's like chatting with multiple people. This isn't somebody that's like, their options are open, but they're not like, I'm going to find what I'm looking for by having like 3 different people I'm dating all at once. This person is very like mutual exclusivity. Get to know someone, give it some time. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel it's progressing, this is somebody who it feels like is very mature about sort of ending things the correct way. This is somebody that isn't just going to ghost. They aren't just going to, sort of like switch up in terms of, the nature of the communication. It's going well, and then all of a sudden, they pull their energy back, or they're full of excuses. They've been there, done that, or they've experienced that themselves. And so this is the energy of somebody that's like, I want something real. I want something better than what I've had before. And I know that that can't be found, by kind of just spreading myself very thin, putting myself out there just wherever, allowing whatever to happen. I know that that is something which comes through taking time, to really kind of feel situations out before things progress on to other levels. And so it feels like they bring that kind of mindfulness and that perspective into the situation that, energetically, in addition to kind of like how they're showing up, again, the idea of like consistency, it feels like you're gonna switch up from being very triggered by that idea of, at this point in time, something that will take a little while to progress. That may be very triggering at this point. When you're in the midst of this with this person, it feels like it's something that's really going to kind of settle that woundedness within. Like, okay, this is taking a while, but it feels good. I feel comfortable with this. This is actually like what I needed. This is actually something where slowly, on a subconscious level, on that deep kind of psychic level, I'm getting all these reassurances because this person keeps showing up. There aren't any surprises. They're not pulling the rug out from under me. We're not rushing forth into immediate gratification and then uncertain if it has the ability to be a sustainable connection beyond just those good times. Like there's something where this person's sort of intention, or the way in which it feels like they lead in this situation and are able to really reciprocate with you, it does a lot for you and for them in order to provide that reassurance of like, yeah, this different approach, this different plan of action, kind of just being very in the moment, but also, looking towards like, hey, I want something long term. I got to be willing to invest, up front in that kind of long term energy. You don't find something long term by kind of like rushing to the finish line. This is somebody that wants to keep their eye on the prize in the form of like the potential between the two of you and what can develop. And so they're like practicing what they preach. They want something real. They're bringing that real energy to the table. They have like a woundedness, or something that they don't want to repeat as far as a cycle in love and romance is concerned. So they're bringing something different. They're also then giving the opportunity for you to see and sense from whatever your experience has been with past people, that this is somebody that represents like a new cycle. They're not coming in with the same, kind of cliches or trying to run the same game on you as other people have before. And this is somebody that almost like they need those reassurances through consistency. And in order to receive those, it's almost kind of like, if I bring that to the table for someone else, then it feels more likely that I will get that in return. So yeah, this feels like this is something that is kind of the makings of a very like interesting connection, something that may provide a lot of solace for the two of you, like that you've made the right decision to kind of take a chance on one another, to open yourselves up, to take a little different approach, or allow things to kind of have that slow simmer energy, move at a little more of a steady pace, in order to really kind of soften, like both of you soften into this experience of like, yeah, we click, we align, it feels right. And so let's make sure that that happens like on all levels in order to ensure that there's more like long-term potential between you. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content here. Don't forget to hit the bell button in order to get notifications about new videos that I post. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.